Orlando's 11-year-old Julian Newman has found out firsthand the power of the internet.
About 10 years ago, the internet thought it had found the next Stephen Curry. A kid barely 11 years old, shorter than most middle schoolers, was breaking ankles, hitting threes from half court, and playing like he was born for the spotlight. His name? Julian Newman.
Julian.
They called him the future of basketball, the next big thing, the prodigy destined for greatness. But behind the viral clips, the cameras, and the millions of views was a truth no one wanted to see, a carefully crafted illusion. What started as a dream became one of basketball's biggest cautionary tales, because somewhere between fame and failure, the internet's favorite prodigy lost everything that made him real. So, what really happened to Julian Newman? How did the boy who looked unstoppable at 11 become a symbol of the fraud behind internet fame? This is the story of the basketball prodigy, who was never what he seemed. Julian Newman wasn't born with a basketball in his hands, but his father, Jaime Newman, made sure it was never far from him.
So my dad was he coached basketball, he had his own leagues.
From the age of 5, Julian's life was shaped entirely around basketball. There were no casual games in the yard, no playground fun, only regimented drills, daily goals, and relentless repetition. Every shot, every dribble, every move was monitored and corrected. The living room became a mini gym, cones and balls scattered everywhere, and the backyard hoop was a stage for hours of practice. By the time most kids were learning to tie their shoes, Julian was already making hundreds of shots each day. Free throws, jumpers, floaters, all under his father's watchful eye. Discipline wasn't optional. Mistakes weren't forgiven. They were opportunities to improve.
2 balls, round and round and round and round.
Julian learned early that basketball wasn't a choice. It was his only path. Family life, conversations, even vacations revolved around training and competition. This extreme upbringing forged not just skills beyond his age, but also a mindset of perfection and performance. Julian was becoming a basketball prodigy, but in a world where success was defined by drills and highlights, not the broader challenges of real competition. Julian Newman's rise wasn't gradual, it was explosive. At just 11 years old, he joined Downey Christian School, a small private school in Florida where his father could coach him and put him up against older, tougher competition. In his very first varsity season, Julian, a 4'5" kid, averaged 12.4 points, 11 assists, and 4.3 steals in his first 3 games. The team finished 21-6, but it wasn't the stats that caught the world's attention, it was the footage. Grainy videos of a tiny kid handling the ball like it was a video game went viral overnight. Step backs, crossovers, impossible threes, every play was flashy, confident, and larger than life. People couldn't stop watching. Local media buzzed, and soon Ballis Life, Max Preps, and ESPN were all covering him. Julian's small stature didn't hurt him on camera. It enhanced the spectacle. Watching him dominate older, heavier players made every highlight feel cinematic. Suddenly, he wasn't just a talented kid. He was a social media sensation, a living character built for the viral era. His mixtapes were breaking millions of views, including one against elite prospect Kyrie Walker, where he scored 52 points, and another unforgettable game where he dropped 91 points.
I ended up with like 6,000 points or something like that. But it was against, it was real buckets though. I ain't gonna cap, against some real niggas.
The internet wasn't debating competition level. It wanted entertainment, and Julian delivered. Media appearances followed. Sports Illustrated, New York Times, Ellen, Good Morning America, and even a halftime show with the Orlando Magic.
You guys did win this round, but we will come back with it. We don't want either of you to ever forget us, so when you make it to the big league.
Everywhere he went, cameras followed. Julian wasn't just playing basketball, he was building a brand, a persona of confidence, swagger, and unstoppable skill. But beneath the highlights and viral fame, a critical question lingered. How much of this was real basketball, and how much was for the cameras? On paper, Julian Newman seemed unstoppable. He broke high school scoring records, amassing over 6,200 points and set records for three-pointers and assists. Yet behind the viral highlights, college scouts were starting to notice the cracks. His height, between 5'5" and 5'7", put him at a disadvantage against bigger, more athletic opponents. His flashy, highlight-driven style that thrived on social media often failed to translate into real game efficiency. Spectacular dribbles, step-backs, and deep threes looked incredible in videos, but they weren't always the best option for winning games. Despite the hype, serious recruiters began ignoring him. The skill set that made him famous online was built for showmanship, not high-level competition. The boy who had once dominated every court he stepped on was now facing a new reality. Talent alone wasn't enough. Behind the views, likes, and viral clips, a critical truth emerged: Julian Newman's game, as spectacular as it appeared, was not ready for the next level. And the internet's darling Prodigy was about to learn that real basketball doesn't live on YouTube highlights. The first real test for Julian Newman came against LaMelo Ball, another viral prodigy. While Julian had grown up protected in his Prodigy prep bubble, LaMelo had already competed against grown men overseas, learning to adapt to physical, high-pressure situations. From the opening tip, the difference was clear. LaMelo played with control, precision, and vision, reading plays ahead, while Julian rushed his shots and forced flashy moves that had once gone viral but now looked ineffective. Next came IMG Academy, a powerhouse loaded with elite athletes. Every attempt Julian made, step backs, deep threes, endless dribbles, was stopped by size, speed, and discipline. His team suffered a 60-point blowout, and the plays that usually wowed cameras now failed to produce results. It became obvious that Prodigy Prep's bubble couldn't prepare him for real competition. Julian's frustration was on full display. Arguments with referees, gestures at opponents, and even throwing a chair mid-game went viral, not for skill but as a symbol of ego and lack of adaptability. Scouts and coaches began to question his attitude, labeling him difficult to coach.
No, I definitely had a deal with I was talking to the coach and everything, and I don't know what happened.
A serious red flag in the eyes of any college or professional program. The reality was unavoidable. Viral fame and highlight reels could no longer hide weaknesses. Julian Newman had been untouchable in his bubble, but once he faced opponents who matched skill with physicality, the gap between internet prodigy and real-world basketball talent was brutally exposed. The lights were off, the cameras were rolling, and the truth could no longer be ignored. For years, Julian Newman's story included whispers of Division I offers, with his father claiming up to 15 schools were waiting to recruit him. For the audience, it sounded like proof that the prodigy was still destined for greatness. Social media buzzed with anticipation, and fans held on to the idea that elite programs were lining up for the next basketball superstar. But the reality was very different. No major universities officially announced interest, and in the world of high-profile recruiting, where news leaks within hours, the silence was telling. The so-called offers were never confirmed, leading many to suspect they were more narrative than reality, a way to maintain hype and protect Julian's image. As the truth emerged, Julian himself began adjusting the story. Instead of speaking about NCAA opportunities, he started talking about playing abroad in Germany, Italy, China, or even joining the G League. Officially, it was framed as a strategy to reach the NBA faster. Unofficially, it seemed like a way to avoid admitting that the doors once promised were never truly open. In the end, none of these alternative plans materialized. No European contracts, no minor league offers in the US, nothing concrete. Meanwhile, his peers moved on, some entering the draft, others thriving at top universities, while Julian lingered in a limbo, famous online but without real competitive opportunities. The myth of the offers had kept hope alive, but the gap between hype and reality was growing impossible to ignore.
My bro, I'm saying I'm trying to catch dubs this year.
I'm trying to catch some dubs too, so I guess we could do that.
At 23, Julian Newman finally made his college basketball debut, but not at Duke, Kentucky or Gonzaga, a tiny school not officially affiliated with the NCAA. For a moment, it seemed like a chance to rewrite his story, a fresh start far from the pressure of viral fame and endless expectations. But the reality on the court was harsh. In just 4 games, Julian averaged 3 points per game, shooting 12% from the field, 0 for 7 from three-point range, and 33% from the free throw line. There were no standout performances, no record-breaking nights, no moments reminiscent of the 91-point games that had once made him famous. Even worse, the context of his team's performance highlighted the gap in competition. Bethesda lost those games by an average of 53 points, with blowouts of 60 and even 69 points. Julian looked disconnected, forcing impossible shots as if he were still in the Prodigy prep bubble.
Forget what somebody says on the court. Stop it. Lead by example. Let people talk and let your game do it.
But now, without the advantage of a team built entirely around him, in just a few short weeks, the truth became undeniable. The skills that had once made him a viral sensation couldn't translate into real competition. The myth of the basketball prodigy had finally collapsed, leaving Julian famous for his past highlights, but without a viable future in competitive basketball. Well, so if you've been fascinated by this rise and fall, or want to see more stories about basketball, legends, and viral NBA phenoms, make sure to hit that subscribe button. On Ball Empire, we dive deep into the stories behind the highlights, uncovering the truth behind the game we love. Let's explore the world of basketball together, my friend.